Black Swan is the simple story of Nina Sayers, played by Natalie Portman, a professional ballerina who is chosen to replace the prima or lead ballerina for the new production of Swan Lake for the New York City Ballet Company. Still living with her mother and carrying with her a kind of childlike fear and wonder, Nina is thrust into the dark adult world of the lead role in Swan Lake, which requires her to know the white swan, an affect she already has mastered, as well as the quote-unquote black swan, the darker side of her nature that's remained unexplored. She befriends another young woman from the company, Lily, played by Mila Kunis, who through some clear editing techniques in the film is meant to represent a kind of doppelganger for Nina. Over a number of encounters, Lily edges her closer to her dark swan persona, which the audience has felt growing since the start of the film. Aronofsky presents the real action of the film as taking place internally in Nina. We never truly get exciting moments in the film that are not part of her internal struggle, projected through hallucinations or dreams or something in between that the film doesn't really care to define and shouldn't. She sees things on her body that aren't there, and through some interactions with her mother, we understand that she has a history of self-harm. But this self-harm takes on a whole new dimension at the end of the film, given her twin-like relationship with Lily, when Nina randomly murders her during a break on opening night of the show. Upon doing so, she metaphorically merges with her Black Swan self and delivers the performance of a lifetime that the teacher had been trying to torture out of her all this time. But then, as it turns out, she didn't really kill Lily, and through this exchange of energies, she actually created a wound in herself that slowly bleeds out until her final climactic fall, when this fantasy of internal nightmares merges with reality and everyone sees her lying bleeding on the mattress. She says, "It was perfect" several times, reminding me in a way of Brando at the end of Apocalypse Now with the horror. I don't know if they're entirely related, but there's something about them that echoed for me. Film reviewer Mark Kermode nailed it when he said, and I'm paraphrasing, that he was shocked at how much of a genre picture this was, and how it was like a cross between The Red Shoes and The Fly. I feel similarly. The power of this movie isn't in the realisticness or the perceived depth of its story. If anything, it's alarmingly simple in terms of its narrative progression, with the most on-the-nose thesis, antithesis, synthesis model that I've maybe ever seen in a movie. But that doesn't really detract from it much. What makes this movie unique and amazing is that it's a body horror film in the style of Cronenberg, only set against the unlikely backdrop of a New York City ballet, which makes it unique and truly something to see. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that this movie, as sophisticated as it looks and its sort of highbrow reception with the Academy Awards and all that, is kind of a trashy movie. And I'm also going to say that that's why the movie is fun. It's shocking, it's exploitative, and it relies on the same elements that horror movies do to move a story along. It's kind of a B-movie wrapped in the skin of A Night at the Nutcracker. I'm not saying this isn't an amazing movie. It is. But don't be tricked by the ballet and whatnot. You probably don't want to watch this movie with your mother. Case in point, I saw this movie on a cruise years ago, and nearly half the audience, who were like cruise-going geriatrics looking for some midday entertainment, just like walked out one by one as the movie progressed. It doesn't demand from you that you appreciate dance. It insists that you are able to withstand its barrage of dark, psychosexual images. Maybe it's less The Fly meets The Red Shoes, and more like The Fly meets Showgirls. Even though Black Swan earned Portman an Academy Award for Best Actress, and I know there's a seriousness and earnestness built into the film as well as its reception, that all seems contrary to its nature. It's a mad rush of a film that's quick, at times horrific, and has moments that truly give me goosebumps. I don't know if it's just a sympathetic reaction because there's actually several shots of goosebumps breaking out on people in the film, but this movie always makes me shiver, and is far, far more effective than most movies that are classically categorized as horror films. The story is simple, but hey, that just highlights the amazing talents of its director that took the skeletal structure of a story and crafted an engaging and frightening experience filled with memorable images. It's not the best movie I've ever seen, but it's one of the most entertaining, and it's going to stay in my annual rotation for years to come for its dark beauty and its confident blending of the high and the low.